You want to
right
start
now.
now?
I'm just broadcasting so that people, when they come on, attendees, that they can hear us. Because we got feedback last time that people weren't sure what we were talking about and thought the meeting had started before it had, that kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we are recording now too, so.
Yeah.
Did you hear me all right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was playing around with something here.
Steve, you only see the left lower quadrant of your face.
Okay.
Is that the good side?
Yeah, it should be. Let me, I don't remember where the camera is. I'm using the iPad and I'm not used to
The
that.
camera's to your left.
How's that?
It's better. Top of your head's cut off, but it's much better.
Well, there's not much up there, so.
Yeah, at that point, most of your face is in the, or your whole face is in the
Okay.
shot.
The only person that I can see is whoever is talking.
Well, you can change that to see everybody if you want.
Yeah. You have to just go to, well, on mine it's different, so somebody else might want to explain
The
it.
2/, you see like a 1/ and then a bigger one, which is only who's talking, and then the next one with 2 marks. If you hit that, you should all pop up.
I don't see that.
Sometimes on the device, it doesn't have all the options.
Oh, you're on an iPad.
Yeah.
Do you have one that has like 9 different dots on it?
I got 3.
Try that one.
Yeah, I couldn't get everybody's picture when I was using my device.
Oh.
No, all I get when I do that is it says webinar settings, raise hand, and disconnect audio. So.
Oh.
So there's nothing that shows like a grid where it looks like sort of nine dots or 9 squares in a square.
No.
'Cause
This
that
is a
was-
very old. It's a very old iPad.
Yeah.
Well, it should be running the Zoom software anyways.
Yeah.
Right.
So when you put your cursor over the picture of whoever's talking, what do you see at the top of the picture?
Okay, I press that and all I see is you.
You do see what's on the screen though, because I mean, you've seen us before.
Yeah, yeah, I see the instructions for public comment on the screen.
Yeah.
But he wants to see how we're reacting, Dave.
Oh, okay.
Well, if I can't see you, you're going to have to be very expressive in your vocals.
Okay. We'll try.
All right, one more minute, and what do we have? I'm not finding my screen. There it is. All right, now I'm losing on how to find who's
Panelists, participants.
yeah. Now I'm losing that.
And
Down
we just,
very bottom center.
or up at the very top, one or the other, bottom or top. You should be able to find like there should be a little.
Oh, that's where
table.
it is. I was looking in the wrong place. Okay. All set. All set. We have. All right. Well, Gretchen's here. It is 6:45.
Is Gretchen
So-
here?
Gretchen is here.
Oh, I see her. Yeah. Okay, now I see her. Great.
So since we are at 6:45, I am going to start the meeting. All right, let's bring this meeting to order. This is the July 21st Newburyport Conservation Commission meeting taking place on the Zoom platform. And this meeting is being recorded. First item on the agenda are the approval of the meeting minutes. David, you want to chime in on this?
Should I do it at this point?
Yeah, you may as well.
Okay, I guess I'd probably be wanting to add this to the meeting minutes of the meeting we're having now, not necessarily the minutes from last time. Is that right, Joe?
I think we're gonna need to probably amend those meeting minutes to reflect the change regarding a vote for what was that number?
This is it. So it was actually the meeting that we're talking about right now, about to start talking about, is the May 15th. I'm sorry, let me look up here, because the May 19th public meeting was where we had an agenda item that dealt with 1882nd Street, a request for an extension to a project involving Tom Lawrence. And originally, when this notice of intent was filed, David Vine recused himself because of a relationship with the applicant. And so years later now, when he requested the extension, we sort of forgot about that recusal, and David voted for the extension. And so we just need to change Gretchen, this is for your benefit, we just need to change those May 19th meeting minutes to remove David from the vote for the motion to extend. And it's fine because it still results in an extension. There was still a quorum for that, but you can see right here, this is what I'm talking about.
So
So
I
that'll
changed
be
my vote
approved
to-
by a 4-0 vote.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think we're gonna need to approve those changes to the minutes.
Yeah, and then make note of them in today's minutes that we did that.
So I'm going to look for a motion to change the minutes from 5/19/2020 regarding 1882nd Street request for extension. Somebody wants to make a motion.
So moved?
Second,
All right, Paul Healy,
Yes?
Steve Moore,
yes.
I vote yes. Is Jane still here? Oh, you are? You guys are, okay, Dan's here too. You guys are out of my screen here. Jane Sender,
Yes.
Dan Warshall,
Yes.
and Ron has not made it on here yet, has he?
Check
All
the
right.
participants for him.
Okay, so, all right, we should be good with that. So the next item is the July 7th, 2020
Yeah.
meeting minutes. Do you have any comments, questions?
Motion to approve?
Second?
All right, Paul Healy,
Yes.
Steve Moore,
Yes.
Dan Warshall,
Yes.
David Vine,
Yes,
Jane Sender,
Yes.
and I vote yes because I still don't see Ron, and want to make sure
It-
Ron
Yeah,
Ron is
Ron's
in.
on.
Okay, can we
Ron's here.
get Ron into the?
Oh yeah, let me see
Panelist
if I
side.
can do that. Promote to panelists. See if that works.
Yeah.
Okay, Ron should be there. He is.
There's Ron.
Okay.
Ron, what is your vote for this change? Your mic is off, Ron, and your camera's off. Do you need to change that, Julie?
Hold on. I don't, it doesn't ask to start video. It's not giving me an option to turn on or off his camera or microphone. So I'm not really sure.
Ron, I'm going to forward you
what's
the
going on
link.
there.
I'm gonna forward you the link, Ron, to
Yeah.
To get onto the panelist side of the meeting.
He just left. It might be that he's trying to do that himself, but yeah, I would, if you want to, if you can easily send it to him just in case,
Yeah.
it'd be a good idea.
Hopefully that has the info in it. I just wish I could see everybody at once. All right, anyways, let's move on. Do we have anything for Plum Island updates?
No, I don't have anything for Plum Island updates, but there is something that was supposed to have been added under old and new business. And it didn't somehow get onto the agenda, and I apologize for that. Which is 37 Reservation Terrace, the landscape plan, which I believe that I sent to you all for review. Is that correct? Did you all get that?
Yes.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
If not, let me know and we can maybe postpone it till the next meeting, but it was supposed to be on for this meeting, and I believe I forwarded you the landscape plan that Tom Hughes had provided. It was the commission already issued an order of conditions for this project, but they were required to submit a more detailed landscape plan prior to the start of work. And so they've done that. And the special condition in the order of conditions required that it be reviewed and approved by the Conservation Commission rather than just an administrative approval. So I forwarded it to you. I have it here if you'd like to discuss, but it really just needs a review and approval. So let me know if this looks okay to you, or if you did not receive it for any reason, we could potentially postpone.
Yeah, for some reason I did not. I can't find it. If I did,
Yeah,
get it.
I don't think I got it.
I don't think I got it either.
Okay, then I apologize. I don't know what happened with this one. It somehow didn't get on the agenda or to you. So that must have been my fault. And maybe we will just have to push this out to the August.
Well, I know my main concern was, they had that outdoor shower and
Yeah.
blocking access from the front of the house, so that they weren't traipsing across the beach grass.
Right.
It looks like they've, if you could scroll to the, oh, never mind, I got it.
Yep, I can scroll over there.
Okay, so they got a note, prune or remove existing bush. But is there a fence going across somewhere, or?
Do you want to get Tom in on this?
Yeah, let's see. Oh, Tom's raising his hand. Sorry, Tom. And also, okay, Lisa, Tom Hughes.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So so what we did is we show a path to the shower. To answer your question, there's not a fence shown. The big things we did is we put the path from the shower around to that towards the covered porch area that's going to be clamshell patio. We have basically replaced all mulch on site with one exception, which is shown in green. That is existing. We're going to keep that, but we're going to put a couple hydrangeas in there. But all the other mulch is going away. We're putting in some beach plum. We're putting in some blue stem grasses, and we're putting in dune grass. We're getting rid of all the lawn, and we're getting rid of the wall in the front, the rock wall. So a lot of really good changes in here. And happy to answer any questions on it if you'd like.
Yeah, Tom, my concern was that people will be going to that shower from the Reservation Terrace side of the building instead of going around all the way around to the back.
Yeah, I mean, so currently we looked at that area, and currently there's a little deer trail that goes in from the path. That's sort of too small to to have picked up during the survey work. And we didn't want to say to them they can't do that, but what we tried to make is the easiest path on, for somebody on the feet is going to be, through the property there. And we're not looking to have any increase in impact over towards 65th Street.
Where is the pathway that they would use to get to the beach in relationship to the driveway?
Okay, so in order to,
I'm just, if the pathway to the beach is opposite the driveway, then they're not going to go around the front of the house to get to the shower. But
yeah, I would have to look at things. I'd have to zoom out to see where off Reservation Terrace the nearest path is. I think it's in that general area.
16, it would probably be 69th Street.
Yeah,
Okay.
so they would be walking north. But if you're in the house, you're going to come down the stairs onto the drive and walk down the street.
Right.
That the 65th path may be convenient to the shower, but it's not really convenient for a regular means of coming and going from the property for any other reason.
Right.
Wouldn't be a heavy foot traffic thing. It already is, like I said, there's already sort of, I best described as a deer trail. It's, from just occasional use, and I don't see that really changing greatly. And the other thing is, we're basically changing everything over to native and getting rid of a lot of heirloom landscape too. And a lot of the mulch that's been on property for a while and the stone walls. So there's a lot of really good changes. Ask you to consider that in relation to, continued use of a small deer trail.
How about you plant some grass in that small trail and see what happens?
Well, it's not on our property. It's
okay.
It's 65th Street.
Okay.
So there's currently grass in that area. We are looking to replace the grass on site with dune grass. 1 foot on center, and basically, so if it's not shown otherwise, that's the plan, is to get rid of the lawn. We're getting rid of the AstroTurf already. That was already part of the approval. That mulch in the upper left is going away and being replaced with a beach plum. And then like I said, it's a pretty nice plan for what is a fairly modest, addition on the house. So, but definitely, welcome feedback and thoughts.
Okay, well, I guess I'm happy or satisfied. Not happy, satisfied.
Yeah, I guess I'm fine with it too.
Okay. So do you guys feel, I know there's some confusion about whether you received it in time. As long as it doesn't hold up us pulling a building permit, it'd be nice to get the vote tonight, but if you feel that that you wanted to do it next meeting, as long as we don't have to present again and go through that would be fine too. We just don't want this to delay moving forward.
Right, if I could, Mr. Chair, Lisa Mead on behalf of the McKickas. We actually had this in before the last meeting, but it was too late to get on the agenda then. And then there was an earlier version of this agenda, Julia, that did have this on it.
I know.
There was. Yeah, you had it on an earlier version of this, so that's why I didn't even double check this morning, because it was on there. So
Yeah.
I didn't either. And I could have sworn that I prepared an email with this. And I believe I even sent an email specifically to Diane to have her upload it onto the website.
It's under number 4. It's
there it is.
number 3.
Yeah.
It's there.
It's under.
It is.
So I guess I would ask that you take it out of turn.
Yeah.
I think we've already done that.
But so,
Oh.
and I apologize
Not
to
on my
anybody we
agenda.
cut off.
Hang on.
So we are there.
No, hold on. The agenda that is online,
Right, it's on the online.
it has number 4, subparagraph 3 is McKitka.
Right.
So I don't know how it's not on the
Okay.
agenda that's in front of you. Maybe you pulled up an older agenda, but it is on the one that's online.
Okay.
Right.
But it's possible, Diane probably changed the agenda, saved it, or didn't save it and just put it online and then didn't make the change to the one that's actually in the folder in the
Yeah.
shared drive. Whatever,
Yeah.
it does, irrelevant.
Yeah,
So
right.
it'd be great if you
Yeah,
could
well, it was in the one that you emailed today.
Yeah.
It wasn't,
Agenda.
was,
Yeah.
okay, all right. Anyway,
So I mean, so it's
Sorry.
properly posted. So you would actually be able to vote tonight if you're comfortable with it.
Yeah.
okay,
That'd be great.
great.
I make a motion to approve the vegetation plan.
Second,
Paul Ely,
Yes?
Steve Moore,
yes.
Dan Warshaw,
Yes.
David Vine,
Yes.
Jane Sender,
Yes.
Ron DeCola, who's named Joe Texera. If you noticed,
Yeah, So,
Oh,
we need to give
I
him
missed
another
this.
link.
I missed this discussion, so can I just sit this one out?
You can. Okay.
Thank-
All right, thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Next item is Boston Gas Company and National Grid, 145 High Street, request for a determination of applicability.
okay. Do we have anyone here representing that? Whoops. Let's see.
Yes. Can I present right now?
Absolutely. Let me get your application up on the screen. Okay, can everybody see this?
You are
Yep.
Dana?
Yes.
Okay.
Good evening, commissioners. For the record, I'm Dana Vesti, an environmental scientist with Ty and Bond. I'm here on the behalf of Boston Gas Company, doing business as National Grid. This project is for a gas service line installation at 145 High Street in Newburyport. The gas service line will be installed from the existing main within High Street, approximately 159 linear feet to the residence. In order to do that, we have to excavate a 2-foot wide by 3-foot deep trench, lay the gas service main on the bottom and backfill over it. The current area consists of paved roadway, residential lawn, and sidewalk. All these will be restored following in kind following the completion of construction. Appropriate erosion controls will be installed during construction to protect resource areas. There'll be approximately 248 square feet of temporary impacts to the 100-foot buffer zone. And within that, there's 78 square feet of temporary impacts to the 25 no disturbance zone. Please note that under the Wetlands Protection Act, the installation of underground utilities within paved areas would be considered an exempt minor buffer zone activity. So a portion of the work is considered exempt under Wetlands Protection Act. At this point in time, I'll take any questions.
Well, one thing, just to be clear, this is not a residence, it's a Superior Court building. And perhaps it should be referred to as such. The other thing is I don't really have a problem with what you're doing, but I'm not sure that an RDA is the correct way to go about it. And the reason I say that is because you're working in the 25-foot no disturb zone, which if you were filing an NOI, we would require a variance to do that. And so I think we do have some jurisdiction here. And perhaps, I don't know if anybody else agrees with it, maybe we should have an NOI.
May I?
Yes, go ahead.
The reason we filed an RDA is because these would be temporary impacts. We're excavating a very small trench and then we'll be backfilling afterwards. So it'll be temporary. So we're not changing any of the characteristics within the area. This project would be done in a day or two, given the length of the trench. So it's a very small projects. So typically with utility projects, we would, we have just very temporary 1 or 2 days of impacts, and we're just restoring areas in kind.
Yeah, I mean, I think I considered this, and I may have communicated with you all by email, the applicant by email, previous to the application. And given that it was a utility line installation, is it a replacement or is it a new utility line?
It's an installation of a gas service line.
It's an installation of a new gas service line, so not replacement of existing.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless, utility work is usually considered a limited project, like she mentioned, at some level. And given that the area is developed already and the impacts would be temporary, and then the disturbance would be, it would all be put back to existing conditions. I didn't maybe think that it required a notice of intent. I also wasn't aware that it would be within the 25-foot no disturb zone. So one of those marginal projects.
But, excuse me, all of the work in that 25-foot zone is just temporary, though. It's going to go back just like it was.
Well, isn't the problem that we don't have any control over it once we issue the RDA? I mean, they could say it's temporary, but the commission then has no control over how temporary it is or how the conditions are restored. Isn't that true?
Well, we could always issue an enforcement order saying they're doing work without a permit.
Really? It
Well,
wasn't an RDA?
But with any RDA, you kind of have to take their word for it in terms of what they've presented as what their proposed scope of work is.
Right.
So if the proposed scope of work is limited to a temporary impact, then that may meet the criteria for an RDA. If they then go in and do something permanent, or something that wasn't adequately described within the plans they submitted, then, you know, that's different. And then, like what Paul's saying, then you'd have an enforcement action, et cetera.
Right. Right.
And we can put orders of the RDA as well. I mean, stipulations, so.
Yeah. A -3 would have conditions that you would be able to apply. It's just that when you get beyond like 2 or 3 special conditions in a negative determination, then it really becomes more like an order of conditions or a notice of intent. So when somebody is proposing something that's got sort of a pretty big scope with potential impacts, where you start having to have a lot of special conditions,
Right.
that's a sign that it should have probably been a notice of intent.
Okay,
So
well,
go ahead, Steve.
I guess as long as if we're not happy with what happens, we can go with an enforcement order, then I'm okay with not having an NOI.
Yeah, we can also require them to present us before and after pictures. And not that we can't all walk down and see it ourselves, but we can have them present that to us. And if we see anything that's not the way it was, then we can issue an enforcement order on it.
Yeah, and also we can have them alert Julia that they're starting the work.
Okay. So if we do something like 48 hours notice to the administrator prior to the start of work, and also before existing conditions, photographs of the work area to be provided prior to the start of work.
Yeah, but I would say I'd want some documentation after too, when you're done.
Right, okay. So prior to the start of work, photos of existing conditions shall be provided. Post-construction photographs shall be provided as well, and 48-hour notice provided to the administrator prior to the start of work.
Do we feel that the Parks Department should have any weighing in on this? since it is land that they're responsible for.
Dana, have you informed the Parks Department about any of this?
Typically, for these projects, we go and get conservation approval first, and then we go and get all of the other permits required for the project. So for example, a street opening permit would be required. So we have to talk to the DPW. And if there's a parks permit, or if we have to notify them, that would also be done. But the first step is usually to go for the conservation to say we do have approval, rather than start that dialogue and then not have conservation approval and have to change our plan.
I don't think there's a parks permit, but I think they would want to know and be able to comment.
We can make that a condition that they notify the Parks Department.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's public access issues through there, and so you'll need to let them know that so that they can be aware to post whatever needs to be detoured for public access and things like that.
So we've gotten up to our maximum of 3 conditions.
They are, however, relatively minor.
Yeah.
All right, is that it?
Make a motion to issue a -3 determination with the conditions we discussed.
Second,
Paul Healy,
yes.
Steve Moore,
Yes.
Jan Warshall,
Yes.
David Vine,
Yes,
Jane Sender,
Yes,
Ron DeCola. Looked like a yes.
Yes, sorry.
And I vote yes. All right, next item.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dana. Jim Laverdiere, 7 Opportunity Way, question determination, continued from 7/7.
Yes. All right, let's see. Do we have anyone representing that here tonight? Mike DeRosa. Mike, I've allowed you to talk if you want to. Great.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
For the record, Mike DeRosa, DeRosa Environmental. Since the last meeting on this, we updated and sent a letter to the commission incorporating all their comments, all your comments from the last meeting. We added an offload of the excavated debris to the back of the property. That's where the I guess I'll go in order. So the first thing we're going to do is cut the standing Phragmites. That'll be loaded on trucks, and we're going to take it over to Brickens Farm in Hamilton for composting at their composting operation. And then we're going to, as the commission suggested, we're going to just take out the debris up to the outlet structure at the lower end, at the outlet of the drainage swale. And that'll be stockpiled and dewatered up in the back here, then loaded on trucks and taken to Brickens Farm as well. We can certainly do before and after photos. I had included a post-construction letter to be sent to Julia. And I think we had talked about doing, Julia, a pre-construction site walk as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this incorporates all the comments from last time, and happy to take any questions.
I think we talked about this last time, but this is going to be an ongoing battle with the Phragmites, and the owner is prepared to do that.
Yes, he's recently purchased the property, and he is appalled by the condition. So it is going to be an ongoing management thing, but he's up for the battle, so
Okay.
he's ready to go.
Okay. Anybody else?
Mike, in the original documents I think we reviewed last week or 2 weeks ago, you'd mentioned some ongoing maintenance planning for whatever you are going to use to reestablish the area. Is that still the case?
Yeah, that's still on the table. We're going to do all native plants, sedges, rushes. What we want to do is occupy that space with native plant material to take over instead of the Phragmites. So
Do you
that's
have
still.
a do you have a plant list for that?
It's soft brush, wool grass. It's
Yeah.
going to be sun tolerant, sensitive fern, those kinds of things.
Okay, great. How are you going to get those plants in there given the root system of the Phragmites?
What we do with the frag is we do repeat cuttings during the growing season. And what we will do is let the frag get up to about 2 feet, and then we cut it again. And then let it get up another 2 or 3 feet, we cut it again. And what that does is it forces the roots to send up new shoots, use that stored energy for that purpose, but it's not allowing it to regenerate new energy back into those roots. And what happens is usually after the first growing season, it's about 70–80% reduction. And then the next season, it's much less. And in the meantime, the seed bank is exposed to the sun. And as you know, Phragmites, the way it works is it shades out the ground plane. So those plants in the ground plane can't get any sun. They're dwarfed, they're impaired. So by removing that Phragmites, letting the sun get to the ground plane, we get lots of regrowth from that seed bank. And so over time, over usually 2 years, we get, down to about 80% of that seed bank getting reestablished. So that's a strategy there.
Okay, but so initially, you're not going to be installing these new plants that you're talking about. These plantings won't be able to go in until you've been through a few seasons and able to diminish that root stock a bit.
That's right. That's
Makes
right.
sense?
So it'll
Okay.
be, and most of that stuff is within the seed bank already. So it's there, and we'll just supplement as needed.
Okay.
Okay. Motion? Assuming there's nothing else.
Is a -2 okay on this one? We don't need any additional conditions?
I think we're at a -3 because there was one condition that we need a pre-construction meeting with the
okay.
administrator. And I think another condition that makes sense is just a confirmation that there will be no excavation within or no excavation outside of the stormwater swale as delineated on the approved project plan.
Yeah,
Okay,
we agree to that for sure. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion to issue a -3 determination with those conditions.
Second.
Okay, Paul Healy,
Yes?
Steve Moore,
Yes.
Ken Warshall,
Yes.
David Vine,
Yes.
Jane Sender,
Yes.
Ron DeCola,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Thank
All
you,
right.
everyone.
Thank you. Just on an aside, I don't know if anybody's gone down Hale Street recently, but the Hope Church has been going after that frag stand
Oh, yeah.
along Hale Street, which the whole area looks a lot nicer with, there's a few fronds growing up again, but they've been going after it this year.
That's
Great.
great.
A good thing.
Good to hear.
So, get a motion to open up public hearings.
So moved.
Second?
Paul Healy,
Yes.
Steve Moore,
Yes.
Ken Warshall,
Yes.
David Vine,
Yes.
Jane Sender,
Yes.
Ron DeCola,
Yes.
and I vote yes. First item is Holly McDonald, 468th Street, notice of intent. We don't have anything yet from them.
No, they have asked for another continuance. I believe that they have revised their plans and they've submitted them to the zoning board, but they have not submitted them to us yet. So they will be asking for a continuance to the next meeting, which I believe is August 4th.
All right, get a motion?
Motion to continue to August 4th?
Second.
Okay, Paul Healy,
Yes.
Steve Moore,
Yes.
Dan Warshall,
Yes.
David Vine,
Yes.
Jane Sender,
Yes.
Ron DeCola,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, next item is Christopher Haran, Seacoast Homes LLC, 192 Northern Boulevard, notice of intent.
Okay, on this one, we need Tom Hughes.
Yep,
Hey,
hi.
you're-
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I sent in a continuance request. It was probably a little too late, but I sent it in about 5:30. So we
Oh,
want to work out some issues with DEP. So we'll be back
okay,
at the meeting.
okay. August 4th?
Yeah.
Get a
Okay.
motion?
Motion to continue out to August 4th?
Second.
Paul Healy,
Yes.
Steve Moore,
Yes.
Dan Warshall,
Yes.
David Vine,
Yes.
Jane Sender,
Yes.
Ron DeCola,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right, next item is Tom and Chris Melarani, 3 Louise Street, notice of intent.
Hey, good evening. All right, Tom Hughes with Hughes Environmental Consulting. With me tonight, Tom Melarani is in the audience, as is Lisa Mead and Eileen Graff. So let me go through what we've submitted since the last hearing. I updated the graphic and got the permission to create this sketch from last week's presentation or last meeting's presentation. What we've done is I added a key. And I've made it clear that, first of all, there's a note that we're going to add at least 6 plum bushes along the northern and eastern ends of the property. The other thing that I've done is added the key. So we're planting American beach grass 1 foot on center to fill in any gaps in vegetation, to plant areas that are currently not vegetation, and also any areas that are damaged by the construction or removal of the sheds, etc. And then under the ramp, what we've done is I've added that we're going to add Pennsylvania sedge, which is shade tolerant and also is native to Plum Island and does well in a sandy environment. But also we're going to add big and little blue stem seed in there as well. And the idea is we'll have it, at least initially, we would start with those 4 American beach grass and the Pennsylvania sedge and the 2 blue stems. And we'll have a mix of shade tolerance built into that. In the event that we need more vegetation, we would then overseed with a shade tolerant native mix because there's enough old loam left mixed into the sand here, because this is one of those sites that clearly for years had lawn everywhere, and it hasn't been maintained. So now you have sort of dune grass at the eastern end, and you have areas of overgrown lawn elsewhere, and you have overgrown landscape plants, and it's all kind of a fractured vegetated mess through the site right now. So I'm pretty confident we would, we'll be able to get something under there. So if we can go to the next slide, I want to show you some details on the ramp that we're asked for. So this is the structural design on the ramp, showing you where the beams would be located and the spacing and everything. If we can go to the next slide, there's a cross section from Joe Fix, so you can see the pile supports and the beams. And then if we can go to the next slide, this is the grading that would be called for. So it is, if you can zoom in on the spec down below, you can see where I think it's 72% open.
Okay.
you can kind of see. Yeah, so 72% open. And now granted, you get a little shading from the depth of the steel, but it's going to let light through, and it's definitely going to let water through. And as long as we can get water through and some light, we'll get vegetation going. And if we can now go back up to that graphic.
Oh, okay.
Yep, to the first page. So what I want to point out is in order to get to zero impact on vegetation, and please keep in mind that the vegetation on site, while we've given it a square footage, there are some decent value areas in the northeastern corner, but for the most part, it's fragmented, fractured, overgrown landscape that is providing minimal sand dune function in its current state. And we'll be improving that greatly through our replanting with American beach grass. So on the ramp itself, you guys are all familiar with our ability to get things to grow under structures at a 1-to-1 height to width ratio. And if we do that, there's about 140 square feet of that ramp. It's kind of a triangular shape on each side. We can get vegetation to grow in, even if it was a solid plank, we could get some vegetation under the edges. And it ends up being about 140 square feet. We're claiming 420 square feet, which is 50% of that ramp. We need about 340 to, so really under the remaining 600 and I want to say 680 square feet of ramp. To get to the 420, we really need 280. It's about 25% vegetation under the remaining ramp. So we don't need a lot to get to, to get to and above zero. We don't need a lot of vegetation within the core of the ramp to survive. We just need enough to kind of make the numbers work. But in terms of dune function, the vegetation plan and scheme we have for the site is greatly going to increase the actual function of the dune on site.
Yeah, so
Could you go over those numbers again? You're saying a triangle where you have an upper height to width ratio.
Yeah.
You then said there was 300 square feet more that you needed to get.
So yeah, so if we can go, I'm not sure if the impact table, if you scroll down on this sketch, I may have had to cut off. Yeah, I think we were gonna have to go down to the site plan, which is all the way down in this whole PDF in my original presentation.
Let me look. Is it this one?
Yeah, that one. Why don't we go to that? Yep. So now if we can go down and look at the impact table. So if you look at the left and the right, we start with, I'm trying to squint and read, 6919 square feet of vegetation on site. And
yes.
Proposed, we come up with a number of 7,048 square feet. But that assumes 50% of the 840 square foot ramp has vegetation underneath. Okay, so in order for that to be 6919 to make it even on either side, we really don't need the full 420. We always try to create a little bit more to give some cushion. So if you look at the ramp, and might be helpful to look at cross section before we do. If you look at the area where it meets the garage, it's about 4 to 5 feet above grade in that area, right? So 1-to-1 in, get ambient light, 1-to-1 in. So you get it about 5 feet in to under the ramp. But if you go down towards the edge where it starts to meet the ground, you're squeezing down to 0, right? So on the right-hand side of your drawing, we're going to have more vegetation growing in and under than we are on the left on that cross section. And so I sort of did a crude 1-to-1 triangle on each side just to calculate and ended up with a little over 140 square feet. So what I'm saying is very comfortably, I can.
Talking about like this.
Yeah, it's a little more gentle. It's not as deep in under. It's maybe if you see the line that says 10% slope on it.
Yep.
Where that meets the garage, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's the word note, and then there's a line that kind of comes in. Yeah, so
Yes,
right,
right
if you
here.
go right to, yeah, a little bit lower, but right it from there, and you pinch down to about 3 or 4 feet from the from where it meets the ground. So you do just a long, skinny triangle, like a half a slice of pizza, basically.
Got it.
Follow me?
Yeah,
So,
like this?
yeah, it's something like that, but it's a little longer and it's
Like this.
very narrow. Yeah, and then the same on the other side. So something like that, right? So that is an area where, you know, I'm pretty comfortable we can get, you know, American beach grass actually does do okay in the shade. If you look at the western side of a lot of homes where there's a good stand of American beach grass, sometimes it's really healthy there because it doesn't get as much light, but it's also sometimes protected. So then under the rest of the ramp, we don't need as much. Do you follow me? We don't. So we
Yeah, I was fine with all of that. And what it came down to was you said you had to make up 300 square feet, and the area that you were making it up, which would be minus those two triangles, was
right.
what area?
So, okay, so if to make the math as shown in that table, take 420 minus 140, right?
Yep.
So we would need 280 square feet of vegetation under the remaining part of the ramp, and the ramp itself is 840 square feet.
So you got 840 minus 150?
840 minus, say, the 140 gets us 700 square feet left. And of that, we need like 240 square feet to make the, I'm sorry, we need 280 square feet of that 7.
Okay, so now you showed me how you got the 50, which you're actually better than.
Yeah, so we're better than even. If we just were shooting for even, then you know, it's whatever 7,048 minus 6919, you know, it's 119, 129 square feet off that too. So to get to even, we're actually only needing like 150 to 170 square feet-ish in the remaining area. So we don't need a lot. You know, we need it to green up. And I don't know if anybody's been to Riverwalk Brewery, but there's a set of stairs right up against the building where you can, and it's made of a graded metal material. And, you know, there's not much growing under the first step, but under the top step, it's, you know, there's plants underneath, and it's not like they planted that. You know, it's just weeds coming in, but there's enough moisture getting in that something will find a way to grow.
Yeah, I don't think it's an issue with the moisture, but, you know, another thing with this this picture that Julie marked up is it doesn't include the deck or the, I don't know what it's called, awning or hip roof that's over the opening of the garage either, which is going to extend the shading. And besides the fact that this is on the west side of the house, so, and this is a tall house, which is going to be shading a rather large portion of the area under there as it is.
Right.
So I would be very surprised if it ended up being as vegetated as you said, particularly with beach grass. I don't know why you wouldn't just put the shade tolerant stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we can start right with what I'd like to do is I expect to plant at this point after sort of, you know, after the first hearing and giving it some more thought and looking at the, you know, the specs on that grate. What I'm looking at is a mix of vegetation under there, enough so that whatever likes it is gonna do well, and whatever doesn't like it is probably gonna die off. But at least then, you know, we can have a nice diverse community. And I think throwing a shade tolerant seed mix in with it right from the outset is probably not a bad idea. And just, you know, my point is we don't need a lot to survive under this ramp. We just need enough to make the math work. But from a, you know, but the actual, you know, regulatory standard we're trying to meet is one related to you can't impact vegetation in a way that impacts dune function. And I would put to you that, you know, I'm trying to make the math work, but when you look at this site, and maybe we could look at the photo sheet that is above this a little bit, right there. So if you look at the site, that vegetation that's present is really not providing a lot of function, except the area that I was talking about that I think is fairly high value is that area in the bottom center where there was a pool, and you can see the remaining remains of the liner. Now the liner's been removed, but but that area is actually doing pretty nicely. The rest of the site is not, the vegetation is not providing a lot of dune function, in which, so when we impact it, we're really not adverse to that standard. But we typically simplify the standard for all these permits to a 1-to-1, because it's just easier to deal with it that way rather than doing a full functional assessment of the vegetation. But so I think we're making up for all the function lost for the project outside the ramp, and I'm just trying to get the numbers to work with the ramp.
Well, I feel reasonably confident that something will grow under there, but if it doesn't, what is, let's say after 2 years, there's nothing growing there. What do we do then?
So the areas, I thought about that. If we go to the site plan, I guess what we would have to do, so there are some things. So for example, there's the at-grade parking that is off of Louise Street. We could turn that into tire stripes and reduce impact there. You can see that, yes, right in there. Right now we have it as a fairly narrow, gravel drive or clamshell drive, but that could just be tire stripes. That would give us an area to get some vegetation. So I don't think we have enough clearance under the deck on the eastern side to plant under that. So, it would really be just narrowing that up and maybe turning the path that connects the drive into more of a skinny, couple feet wide thing as opposed to as wide as it is. But we can make something up, and maybe not if we had nothing under the ramp, but we certainly have areas that we could go back and deal with if we had to.
Okay, what about the driveway leading up to the ramp? Is there anything, if you needed to do something, that you could do there?
Maybe a little. The thing that you want is you want a nice gentle approach as people are approaching a metal ramp. You don't really want to have it start too skinny, but I suppose we could.
Well, considering the steepness of that ramp, I think you need as much room as you can get. I mean,
yeah.
Sort of scares me to even think about that in the winter, going up to 15% grade.
Yeah, one thing that steel grading is available with a toothed surface, which is similar to the one that I showed you guys in the photo that was installed in Salisbury. Is a slightly different shape steel grading, but it's similar. And if we look at that, it's page 20 of that PDF right there. The picture right there. You see how that's got little teeth on it? That does help you get a grip, and we would be using something with that. But no, I agree, and that's why I'm hesitant to agree to narrow up the drive. But I think if we really got in a pinch, we could figure out a way to make that work. But I think ultimately, when we look at the dune function, I mean, if you look at what we're proposing, we're getting rid of solid obstacles in terms of those sheds. From a building point of view, we're actually reducing lot coverage on site. It's just the ramp to get up to the building covers some area. So removing solid obstacles within the dune. So really are improving dune function. And I think, like I said, we just need, we need a way to get the math to work on that ramp in order to be able to have this concept.
Can I just interject with a suggestion or a recommendation or idea about this? Because what you're saying is that there are areas of this site that if the calculations don't work out to be correct in terms of what will grow underneath the ramp over time, then there are areas that, of the site that could be vegetated to compensate for that or mitigate for that. And so I'm thinking that there could be a condition in the order of conditions, a special condition that would say that prior to request for a certificate of compliance, the applicant shall provide a landscape plan and photographs that confirm a minimum of 6919 or whatever number the commission would choose, square feet of successfully vegetated area on site. And that way, if it doesn't work out under the ramp, they're gonna have to go and find another area to plant and make it work. And so that we can achieve the goal of no net loss of vegetation on this site.
Right.
That makes sense?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I want to make sure that's good with my client, but I think that makes some sense. I would ask that it be the 6919 number, just because that's the minimal standard. And I think if the commission agrees with me that we are improving dune function overall, I think that's the fair number to kind of be at the absolute floor that we have to make.
Mr. Chair, this is Lisa Mead. I mean, I think that's a completely fair condition, and it would give us time to show that the planting that Tom is proposing, whether it will work or not under the ramp, which everybody, you know, that he's talked to seems to think that it will. So I think it's a fair condition because there's also ample room on site to make it up.
Yeah, that's fine. I just want to make sure everybody knows that I think these ramps are a great idea, just not so much on the west side of a very tall house.
Yeah, I hear you, but the one thing I've noticed, originally, you know, I used to hear it a lot that things wouldn't survive on the western side of houses, and sometimes they're the lushest, greenest areas of the site. One, and I can't explain fully why that is, because they do often get less sun. But then again, the dunes sometimes shade the backside of the dune quite a bit. If we can, just because I have them, if we can go up to, it's probably page 5 or 6 or so, just the photos. You guys had asked for some photos, so I just wanted to show you these because they're just awesome photos. If we can zoom out a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
So this is an area that
sorry.
was heavily impacted salt marsh. There was an at-grade walkway out to a dock before I got my hands on it. And we put a through-flow deck down. We didn't have the full one-to-one here, but we, you know, the through-flow allows a similar light pattern through is the grading we're talking about. And you can see how the salt marsh underneath is recovering. It's still in the very foreground. There's still an area where it was slow to come in. But as you go out, you know, where it's been getting more and more hydrology the closer to the creek, you can really see how beautiful and everything that is. That's
How wide is that, Tom?
I think it's 3 feet wide, but I don't think we have a full 3 feet to the bottom of the structure.
Yeah.
Right, but it's also, what is it, facing north?
It is facing north. So, I mean, it does take advantage of a lot of things, but since I included the picture and it's a dynamite photo, I wanted to show you that. So, but the one at the bottom of the photos is also another one that I'm really happy with, even though it is very marginal. If we, what you can see in this, at the Newburyport Yacht Club, we had no growth whatsoever under the main dock. We replaced that, and in this area, this is right to the left of this photo. I don't know if it's in the photo frame or not. There is a seawall. Okay, this is facing north. I think it's north, but it's right off the dock, right along the shoreline, and you can see that the vegetation, salt marsh vegetation, is moving in where there was still a substrate left within the salt marsh. A lot of it is scoured out to your right, but it's coming back. And this is, you know, it's a lot about, you know, getting just enough light in there, and then something that's shade tolerant will make its way in. So again, I'm pretty comfortable we'll be able to get something to grow under there. It might take, you know, a seed mix and a bunch of different plants to figure out what it is that likes it, but I think we can do it.
So are you going to plant it before you put the ramp up or afterwards?
I think my recommendation is that if at all possible, we would put some plants in before the ramp goes up. However, the one in Salisbury that was unable to be done because of the time of year, it was dead hot summer. So, and then the plan was to do it this spring, and then COVID happened. So that's going to be planted this fall, and you can actually crawl pretty comfortably under it. It's tough to get under some of the cross beams as you get closer to the ground, but you can get under there. You know, you just have to crawl. So it can be done. I certainly think it would be best to put the structure in, then plant, then put the grading on top, but it can be done either way. And since it's going to be really dirty sand, a lot of organic content that's left there, I think, you know, then we just throw seed through the grading.
Okay.
Yep.
So the Pennsylvania sedge and the American beach grass will be, you know, plugs or culms, and the rest of it will be seed.
Okay. Do we have any other questions or comments?
No.
Okay. Do we have anybody from the public? I'm not sure where Eileen Graff is.
She's the architect.
Eileen's the architect on the project, Joe.
Okay. Well, there's nobody other than the applicant and his folks. So
On behalf of the team, I can say we all support the project.
that's surprising. All right. So
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Paul Healy,
Yes.
Steve Moore,
Yes.
Ann Warshall,
Yes.
David Vine,
Yes.
Jane Sender,
Yes.
Ron DeCola. Where'd Ron go?
Yes,
Oh, there he is. Okay.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
And I vote yes.
Thank you.
Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, the next item is Robert Condon, 1176 Street, notice of intent. So we don't have anything from them, correct?
We do. I mean, we have received a notice of intent from him, but it was not meeting, it was not acceptable, let's put it that way. There were issues with the plans. DEP didn't get the plans, so they were still requiring him to submit things, so there's no file number issued. There were a lot of questions that I had on the application. Certain elements were missing, the FEMA flood zone, resource areas, impact numbers, all that kind of thing. So the fee was wrong that was submitted. So we've been working with him to try and fix these things, and he is working on it. And all work on site has been paused, but he has not yet submitted what was requested. So, and to be honest, I'm not sure he's notified abutters yet either. So I would recommend that this item actually be taken off the agenda because of just failure to provide the necessary information for the commission to review it as a notice of intent. And then we can put it back on when he fulfills all of those requirements.
Should we just make him resubmit? Because he's
Essentially, yeah.
I think we should, because we don't know if he's even notified anybody, and he's on the application, he's not even saying it's coastal dune. He's got it as an inland wetland. So the whole thing's wrong.
Right.
I think we should just remove it from the.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so if he hasn't notified abutters, then certainly it should be removed from the agenda. But he indicated that he had notified abutters, but I haven't gotten the receipt for the abutter notification yet. And he didn't provide the affidavit of service for the abutter notification. So what happened was, and I was maybe a little loose with this because this typically doesn't happen. Someone submits a fee and a notice of intent and plans, and they've checked all the boxes, and we put it on the agenda. And then looking through it, I typically go back and ask questions and can you provide a more detailed landscape plan, et cetera, et cetera. In this case, when I went through it, after it had been put on the agenda, there was a lot more missing. And that's where we are now. It really wasn't complete enough for you all to review. So if we had opened the hearing and he had presented the project, we would be in a situation where we'd be needing all this information from him. And as yet, we still haven't gotten it. So that's why we've never opened the hearing. So I don't know what the best thing to do is, to whether it's just continue it one more time, get confirmation from him as to whether or not he has notified abutters and whether or not he's getting his DEP file number before the next meeting. If so, then I think that's great. If not, then I think it should be removed and he should resubmit.
Yeah, what about if we just remove it from the agenda due to the lack of sufficient information, and will be pending that further information and re-notification of the abutters, even if they have gone
Okay.
out already.
Well, what if we, so I guess my question is, what's the difference between doing that and simply not approving it and making him resubmit everything?
Not much. It's a cost thing. It's
Right.
Because if he's already notified the abutters, that's a lot. That's a big expense to ask someone to do twice if he's already done it. And we're
And
just
you have to
waiting.
pay the filing fee again.
You have to pay the filing. Well, he paid the wrong filing fee. It was an exorbitant amount of money that he wrote this check for. And we had to say, no, like, that's too much. We can't, we're not going to cash it. You need to submit a new check. So technically.
So he hasn't even submitted the filing fee.
Right, because we haven't.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I guess
So
my question,
Well, in that case, why not just deny it for
start
lack
over.
of information?
yeah,
Have him start over.
I would say just deny it for lack of information and make him, put in a real notice of intent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. But I would say it's not necessarily, I wouldn't open it and then deny it. I would say, because then you have to issue a negative or a denial of an order of conditions. I don't even think that it should be opened, because I don't think that it qualifies as, at this point, being a legitimate notice of intent.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
So
But didn't we open it at the last meeting?
I don't think we've ever opened it. I think it was never opened. I think it was just, correct?
Maybe not.
Never opened. It was never opened because there was never a file number. DEP was never okay with it. He never presented anything. We've never opened this. So I think that it's just one of these things that we carried on the agenda and said that we're going to open it at the next meeting. But at this point, I think we can take it off the agenda and request that he files a new notice of intent.
Yeah, okay, because I don't want to continue it, because in continuing, it makes it seem like we opened it.
Right.
But we have to open it.
So then, okay, so then let's take it off.
Yeah.
Do we need to vote to take it off, or can you just do that?
I think we should, so that in the minutes, we know that we voted to take it off and why.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Another issue, have you notified him that he's got to remove that driveway?
All the gravel that he put down?
Aren't there pavers there?
I don't think there are pavers. No, it was just a whole lot of gravel, just all sorts of crushed stones.
Well, he's saying he's going to be removing concrete pavers. And the picture on the left of the stuff you sent us looks like there's pavers there. Like pavers where the driveway would be. Am I wrong about that?
I wasn't aware of that. I thought that I didn't realize that any pavers had been installed unless they were pre-existing driveway. What he did was he took out a lot of vegetation and covered everything with gravel and started to build these new steps to the front door.
So is the left picture, is that what's there now? The left side picture in your notes?
In my notes, yeah. The one that shows a whole lot of gravel, yeah.
No, that's the right side picture. The left side picture shows a deck, stairs, and a paver driveway.
I don't have that open in front of me.
I shouldn't say left side because that's how I formatted it, but
hold on a sec. Let me open it up.
Yeah, and you
in
notice
my-
it's the
It
first,
does look like pavers.
oh yeah, it's definitely pavers.
Okay, hold on. Ay.
I thought that was the pre-existing photo.
Can't hear you, Paul.
So yeah, so that was the pre-existing conditions.
Right.
That was what was there before. There's pavers, a driveway, a deck, a shingle house with sort of yellow, gray, beige trim. Then what you see with the sort of white siding and some scaffolding and some skylights and a porta potty is a big pile of gravel. That's what's just there now.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
So
'cause
he-
I think the pavers had been removed as part of his previous process.
yeah,
Oh, okay. It
because
didn't,
he just started doing a massive landscaping project without any permits. And that's what happened.
that first house looks so much nicer than the
I
second
know.
one.
I know, exactly.
Right. Never mind.
Yeah, that's the reverse. That's why everyone's noticed it.
Okay.
It's a big difference.
All right.
So-
All right, so we're just gonna vote to remove this from the
Yeah.
agenda?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He also
Okay.
wanted to put up a fence and things like that. And so he hadn't included the right fence detail. The fence didn't meet the guidelines. And so he hasn't been able to do any of this work. And he won't be able to until he gets this corrected. And I believe he's been working with Rachel Freed at DEP on getting the right plans to them. So hopefully we'll get something soon.
Okay. Okay, motion?
Motion to remove this project from our agenda due to insufficient information.
Second,
Paul Haley,
Yes.
Steve Moore,
yes.
Dan Warshall,
Yes.
David Vine,
Yes.
Jane Sender,
Yes,
Ron DeCola,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right. Can I get a motion to close the public hearings?
So moved. Second,
All right then, Paul Haley,
Yes.
Steve Moore,
yes.
Dan Warshall,
Yes.
David Vine,
Yes.
Jane Sender,
yes.
Ron DeCola,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, first item, I'll go down to, we have no enforcements, violations, order conditions for, where are we, 3 Louise Street?
Yep. Okay, I actually have a draft. These are some draft special conditions for 3 Louise Street. It's just, you can see we've got this is a boilerplate Newburyport special conditions that are in addition to those that are provided in the DEP form for an order of conditions. And these just go through our basic boilerplate, pre-construction, them having to submit the permit compliance contact form, the DEP sign, etc. And this is just about erosion controls and that type of thing. And then we have special conditions that are for a project on Plum Island. I put in some standard, again, they're special conditions, but there are standard kind of Plum Island special conditions. So limit of work with snow fencing, excavated material needs to remain on site. We don't want anyone taking any soils or sand off of Plum Island. Only new approved beach grade sand can be brought in, etc. So this is just, this would be the draft order of conditions. And then to these special conditions, we would add number 55, which would be what was discussed during the hearing, which was that prior to a request for a certificate of compliance, the applicant shall provide landscape plan and photographs that confirm that a minimum of 6,919 square feet of successfully vegetated area has been established on site. And that would be it.
Okay.
And then they have so I would add that there.
Okay, Julia, just down there in sections E and F, I think the
Yeah.
numbering is out of order.
Yeah, it probably is. And this is something that I can fix. Yeah, it totally is. It's because I cut and paste these in, and then it sort of throws off formatting, but I'll fix that. Thank you.
Yeah, there's 253s too.
There's 253s too. You're right. All right. Thank you. I'll get all that.
All right. Any additions, subtractions, comments? Or motions?
Motion to issue the order of conditions for 3 Louise Street.
Second.
Paul Haley,
Yes.
Steve Moore,
Yes.
Dan Warshall,
Yes.
David Vine,
Yes.
Jane Sender,
Yes.
Ron DeCola,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right. Do we have anything else?
Yeah, I took a drive through Evergreen Commons the other day, or Port Place, whatever they're calling it now.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I just glanced over to where the wetlands are, and there's some cattails and brown-eyed Susans that are looking fantastic in there. But I noticed that there appear to be 3 cellar holes that they've dug. They haven't poured any foundations in them, and it doesn't look like there's anything going on there at all with those 3 cellar holes. And I was wondering what was going on with them. If Julia, you know anything about them not doing all the houses, or?
Oh, I don't know if there's a pause on those last few foundations or not, but I do know that they haven't finished construction yet. I'm anticipating that they're going to complete all of those houses as proposed. But actually, and I might have CC'd you all on my email to Tom Hughes and their project team recently with requests for them to get back to us with information on where they are on a lot of the special conditions in their order of conditions that haven't been met yet. So the bridge, there's supposed to be a bridge over, there's an island in that isolated vegetated wetland, and there's supposed to be a bridge to it, a public pedestrian bridge from the one side to the island and then to the other side. That hasn't been constructed yet. I've been talking with Tom about that. They are supposed to be reporting to us on some general construction related issues we haven't been reported to. The site's not stabilized. There was some public signage, educational signage that needed to be placed, some markers that needed to be placed. We don't have any information on those yet. The commission was supposed to be able to review the language for some of those educational signs, and we haven't received that. In addition, they've been asking for permits for pools. And as you might remember, we talked about pools during the public hearing process, but pools were never specifically allowed or disallowed. It was discussed that they could be allowed, and there was a special condition in their homeowners association agreement regarding how big, not how big a pool could be, but how much additional impervious surface could be added to any individual lot, and it was 5%. But now we're getting these pool permits, which would be, a pool would be an impervious surface. And we are not really sure how to view that. They all have patios around them. So I'm asking the applicant to give us the confirmation that if a pool and a patio were added to each and every lot at Evergreen, that the existing stormwater management system would accommodate that additional impervious surface. They haven't provided that to us. They never provided that analysis during permitting. But now that they're asking for pools, if they want us to sign off on those pool permits, we need to be assured that the stormwater system is designed to take that additional impervious surface. So asked for that, and they're going to, so I've talked with Tom about putting together like a request for an amendment for some of these things and coming into an upcoming commission meeting so that we can talk about kind of all these issues. And what the city is hoping is that they don't try to finish up the project finish up building the houses, sell the houses, and then kind of, you know, walk away before they've tied up all these other loose ends. In addition, the conservation restriction, which is that whole open space area, hasn't been finalized yet. And that needs to be finalized and approved by the state and by the city before they can get their final occupancy of the final house that gets built. And we don't know where they are on that either. So there's a lot of loose ends with Evergreen, and we're just trying to, you know, round those up.
So what happens if those sellers just sit there and they don't build houses on them? You know, they're not going to need a final occupancy since they have all the other ones occupied. What happens there?
And that's not painting a pretty picture, Joe. I
No,
hope
I
that
know.
doesn't happen.
And
I
Steve,
really hope that doesn't. I hope that doesn't happen. I don't think that will happen.
Well, they have a lot of things with the planning board as well that are similar to what we
Yeah,
have.
they've got special permits with the planning board. They've got our order of conditions. But I mean, Joe makes a good point about them leaving before the requirement to come in and get an order of certificate of compliance or a final occupancy permit.
Right now, you getting occupancy permits for houses. I mean, they've
been getting occupancy permits for houses, and they've been selling the houses, but there's a condition in our order of conditions, and it may also be in the special permit from the planning board, that the occupancy permit for the final house will not be signed off on until such time as like all these other things happen. So what Joe was saying was, what if they never come in for the occupancy permit for the final house? That's not something I like to think about.
Hey, Dan, a quiet dog. Of course, you're on mute, so.
We do have a team in the city, an interdepartmental team with people from the water department and planning office and other people at DPS who are getting together to meet about this relatively soon. And then we're putting together all of our questions for Evergreen and going to get them on a meeting as well to see where they are with everything. So the good thing is I did get a response back from Tom about the bridge and about some other items. And it does sound like he wants to come in and address those things. So, you know, fingers crossed that they're going to live up to all those conditions.
Could you ask him also if there was any changes at all to date from the plans?
Yeah, well, there have been, and that's one of the things he wants to come in and sort of straighten out. One of the things is there were supposed to be 2 bridges over this isolated vegetated wetland, and once it was constructed and they kind of saw how the whole site was laid out, they realized that it's really wasn't necessary to have 2 bridges, so they just want to do 1 bridge. That's one amendment. These pools themselves, I consider those to be worthy of an amendment, and at least some additional special conditions related to what happens when a pool goes in. It should have to be permeable pavers for any patio area surrounding the pool. The pool can only be of a certain, you know, size in accordance with what the stormwater system can handle, etc. So, you know, we need to make some changes, and I believe that that's what they're planning on coming in with. There are a few other, I'm sure there've been a few other small changes as well. And we can ask them to put that all in a revised plan.
Steve, are you trying to talk to us? Because you're muted. There you go.
Yeah, okay. So I remember we talked about pools at length when we were permitting this, and I could be wrong, but it seems to me that we were told that there wasn't really room for pools on those lots. But
well, they're making room.
Yeah, I remember Lisa saying something to the effect of people are going to want to have pools, and you know,
yeah,
when we were talking about banning them, and that was, I don't want to go back and listen to all that again, but
yeah. They were pretty, you're right, they were pretty adamant about the fact that pools should be allowed and that they should not be, and that they are not to be considered detrimental to like the water supply and all that kind of thing. And so in the homeowners association, there's there's a provision that if you have a pool, it has to be emptied after it's been dechlorinated, et cetera. You know, we might want to put, that's not in our order of conditions, though. That's only in the homeowners association document. I think that it makes sense to have some very specific conditions about pools in our own order of conditions. And now that they're asking for permits to construct some pools, and that this is still an open order of conditions, I think we can call that an amendment to the approved plans and put some related conditions in as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't even let them use chlorination. Let them use the
Salt
whatever
water,
that-
right?
what is it?
Salt water?
Or no, ozone, or whatever that other cleaning system they have, or one of the other cleaning systems for pools, instead of even having that. Because one of the pools in the development behind me, I don't remember which street it was, but they were right on the wetland. And they had, it was a non-chlorinated pool. It was like ozonated water or whatever.
Yeah, I think I remember what you're talking about. Yeah, so all good.
We did talk about that. Remember the expert, the chemical engineer was telling us that with the chlorinated pools, all you have to do is let it sit for a few days and then the chlorine breaks down and it's no longer active.
Right.
And we talked a lot about that with regard to back flushing the filters and.
Right, right.
Which
Yeah.
is fine, but what if they don't wait? What if they want to get the water out of the pool and they don't let it sit?
Right.
You know,
Well, then what they were saying was, well, kids swim in these pools and kids drink the pool water all the time and they're fine. I mean, they had like a million arguments for it being okay. But it wasn't part of what they proposed. So it is a change to the approved plans.
Okay.
So I'll give you an update on Evergreen at our next meeting. So I think, oh, actually though, speaking of the next meeting, Joe, I will not be around for the next meeting either. And I might not be in a place like where I am right now where we have Wi-Fi or the ability to do this Zoom. So I'm going to ask Andy if he can just sort of administer the slides and stuff.
Mhm.
But I just wanted to let you guys know that that's the next meeting.
They don't have Wi-Fi good in Jamaica.
I wish. No, Squam Lake in New Hampshire. It's very woodsy.
Okay. Well, Steve's in the woods right
I
now.
like camping. Yeah, Steve's in the
Got
woods.
Wi-Fi.
I sort of am right now too, actually, but a little bit better.
Steve gets the award for best lighting for the Zoom meeting.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Best
Can you see the
ambiance
sunset?
too.
Best ambiance, best everything. Steve gets
Okay,
MVP.
here we go.
Okay, that's a close second.
There you go.
Steve's just is more wide open than yours, Julie.
Yeah. Steve's got the beautiful tree ambiance going. All right.
Julia, is there anything new on National Grid by the rail trail? You were going to check into that one by the outlet where they had the stone.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry, David. I have not gotten in touch with them about that yet. I meant to talk to Jordy about it and see if he knew anything, and he's been out lately. But I'll make a note to email the National Grid folks. I'm sorry I didn't get to that before this meeting.
What about Matt?
Go ahead.
Matt Kazaki, have you talked to him or got in contact?
No, but I did get a phone number from Jordy for him last week, so I'm going to give him a call when I get back next week. He had the same contact information. He wasn't aware that he had left. We talked about, the contract and when he's supposed to mow and all that. Apparently he sort of does it as a favor to the city. It's not, is it actually in the, is there a contract for that? Because
Oh yeah, there's a contract, and we told him he needed to do that so he can use the wet meadows.
Right. Exactly. That's what Jordy was saying, but because he gets to use the wet meadows, he's supposed to do this mowing of that back area for us. But Jordy didn't think that it was ever an official requirement. It was just like he was doing it as a favor in return for us allowing him that, but might not be actually written as part of the
Well, then we need to change it, and
contract.
we
Yeah.
can make any changes we want instantly on any of these properties, so.
Okay.
we should,
Okay.
if it's
Okay.
not in there, then we need to make it, put it in there.
Okay.
And Ron, you might want to find, you know, obviously you're showing my name now. You might want to find the original link that you got sent, so it shows you instead of me in there, just for public purposes.
Yeah, I don't know what happened today. I used the same link I used on the 7th, and it gave me an error message. So I don't know what was wrong.
Oh,
Ron,
so
I
it worked
can-
on the 7th. It didn't work today.
I can ask Andy to resend you a link, a participant link.
Yeah, thank
Okay.
you. I appreciate that. That fire drill's getting old.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
And Ron and Jane, you might want to go out and drive around to Evergreen Commons,
Yeah.
or Port Place,
Yeah,
just so you know what we're talking about.
I was just looking it up. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Me too. So what's going on there was a golf course there, and what's there now?
Bunch of houses.
Bunch of houses now.
On what was the golf course?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, those were exciting meetings at the beginning.
Yeah, it
Most of the
sounds
way
like.
through.
Because it's in the entire site is in the city's zone 2 water supply protection zone, because we have a water supply well right near there. So, and it's a bowl. So everything that all the water that falls on Evergreen, the old golf course, goes into the ground and goes straight to our water supply well. So it was a very sensitive, controversial project, because they're proposing 38 new homes.
Right.
Which they are now building with roadways, and now they want to put in pools. And it was a long, arduous permitting process with a lot of special conditions in their order of conditions. So if you want, I can email you guys the order of conditions and the project plan, so just you can take a look and see.
That would be great.
Okay.
How many houses have been built?
Probably 30.
Wow.
Yeah, and they went up really fast.
And how many more? Another 30?
No, just maybe a handful more. I think that they've got some foundations already in the ground, but that's it. They're almost done.
Yeah. But the other issue was, it wasn't just the well, it was an untreated well that went directly into the water system,
Oh, wow.
because it was so clean.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to go over there and see what it's like.
Julie, did the
Okay.
rest of us, did we ever get the whole order of conditions?
I'll email it to all of you. I'll email all of you their latest project plans, which was sort of like a phasing plan that they show what they're going to build when, and the order of conditions, so you can see all the conditions. I think I've emailed you guys like different ones of those conditions along the way, but you might not have the whole thing. So I'll do that.
Okay, especially since it may become relevant soon.
Right.
And how long ago was that before the commission?
That was permitted in 2018.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it started long before that.
Yeah, yes, that is true. So, all right,
Yeah.
anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
All right,
Second.
Paul Healy,
Yes.
Steve Moore,
Yes.
Dan Warshall,
Yes.
David Vine,
Yes.
Jane Sender,
Yes.
Ron DeCola.
Yes.
And I vote yes. All right, folks.
All right.
Okay.
Thank
Really
you.
have a nice rest of your vacation.
Thanks.
And stop working from vacation.
Just a little more. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
All right.
Wait, I haven't left.
Okay, I'm gonna